Now, some of y'all heard what's been happening in New Orleans. The fires, the rumors, the jokes, that doll. But memory burns hotter than rumor, and some things don't get to stay buried. This here isn't a ghost story, it's a reckoning. And on a day meant for remembrance, the Queen is walking again. This is of blood and bone. Marielaveau walks again. Fire always did have a way of calling things home. I didn't rise when they broke my windows. I didn't stir when they paved over bones with parking lots, or sold my name stitched in velvet on trinkets and cheap perfume. But when they lit that house, the one built on top of my roots, still heavy with offerings long since gone to ash, I opened my eyes and I remembered. Not my death, not the silence. I remembered what I was, what I am. The city still hums beneath my feet, still sings to me in steam and sweat and second lines that will never make it home. The veils are thinner now, the prayers are quieter, but they still taste the same, floating through cracked windows at midnight, whispered into kitchen salt and slow-boiled gumbo. I walk down Rampart and it feels like nothing's changed. The balconies might be newer, but the glances, quick, sharp, and scared. The kind they always give a black woman standing too tall, walking too slow, and not asking permission. A boy sags on a stoop. He don't see me, not yet, but he feels me. Shifts his shoulders, looks around like someone just called his soul by name. I keep walking. Across the street, a cop with hate behind his teeth, and a woman counting change for bread and baby wipes, ghosts in her eyes. She wears a ring that was never hers, and shame like a scarf. I know her type. I've known her in every century. They said I was a witch, a queen, a healer, a fraud, a devil, a mother, a saint. But more than anything, I was a witness. And now I walk again. I walk through churches still preaching mercy, but hiding monsters in the pews, through bars where men still lie and swear and take, through courtyards where little girls with braids and gold hoops skip rope to rhymes older than they know, and every third verse belongs to me. They think the fire ended something, but fires don't end. They transform. They cleanse. They call. Let them say my name now, hanging on t-shirts, whisper it in fear when the lights flicker. Let them know I'm not lost. I was waiting, and now I walk, and I see, and I remember every single one of you. Because some debts don't get washed away, not by time, not by blood, not even by fire. And the Queen, oh, the Queen don't forget. My feet don't echo on pavement anymore. I walk through breath, through names, through memory. Let me tell you something, child, this world, she ain't new. Y'all dress it different, hang LED halos over the same old sins, and call it progress. But I walk past cracked stoops and boarded windows, and the grief still curled up behind the curtains. The hush is still thick in houses where secrets fester. You paint the walls, but the rot's still in the beams. You want to know why I came back? Not for vengeance, for witness, for truth, for every woman they buried with their tongues, not their hands, For every root worker called wicked for healing when the doctors wouldn't. For every girl who bled in secret so her pain wouldn't shame her family. I was a mother, a midwife, the one they came to when the priest said no. You think I was feared because I cursed men? No, baby. I was feared because I helped women choose. I helped them say no. I helped them decide. I helped them keep their names. And they don't like women who name things. Not the pain, not the lies, not the men hiding behind uniforms, pulpits, and promises. I pass storefronts now with crystals in the window and my name on candles. They charge $39.99 to manifest abundance. What abundance you think I called on, sugar? Mine came from herbs, from prayers, from women pooling coins so their babies could eat. Not from manifesting, from surviving. And don't get me wrong, intention, she's a powerful thing, but you better know the roots you're standing on. If your magic don't feed nobody but your ego, it ain't magic, it's vanity. They say the city's haunted, but I say it's alive. And the bones in the soil, they remember. They remember the names of the stolen, the bargained for and the bought. They remember the children that disappeared, the screams explained away. They remember the ones who never got funerals, just concrete poured over their grief. But I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to say, if you're still hurting, I see you. If you're still fighting, I stand with you. And if you still pray with your hands in the soil and your voice still shaking, but strong, then baby, you ain't praying alone. Light your candles, wash your steps in salt, look at your monsters in the eyes, and don't wait for permission to name what hurts you. The Queen walks beside you now. Not to curse, not to save, but to remind you what you already knew. Power is never given. It is remembered and reclaimed. Where the cracks run the deepest, I feel the pull. And baby, I go where the silence dares me to speak. You think I came back just for the women? No, I came back for my people. The ones whose backs built this city. The ones whose names were never carved in stone, but whispered into iron and brick. The ones brought here in chains and still have the audacity to dance, to sing, to worship. They brought us here to keep us low, but we stood high, and that shamed them. You want to talk about curses? Let me tell you what a curse really is. It's looking a man in the eye who owns your name and still holding your head up. It's walking through a world designed to erase you and leaving footprints anyway. It's your joy being read as defiance, your survival as rebellion, your beauty as danger. They told us to shuck, to bow, to shrink. And we fed each other, loved each other, taught our children their worth, even when the law said otherwise. They wrote us out of our history, but we keep telling our stories. I walk past murals now, faces I remember, painted large on crumbling walls. They honor us now, but not back then. Back then, our language was mocked, our hair policed, our rhythm was stolen and sold under new names. Even now, especially Now, they lift our style, but not our struggle. And still we rise, still we walk in grace. Still we hold the line for one another. You ever wonder why the Queen's name lasted this long? It's not because I cast spells. It's because I listened. Because I stood. Because I never let them shame me for the fire in my blood or the roots in my soul. So now I walk again. Not just as a woman, not just as a witch, but as a reminder that we were never meant to survive, and we did. That we were meant to forget, and we remembered. That we were meant to break, and instead we became sacred. If they fear us, let them. If they envy us, let them. If they try to ride us out again, we'll rise from the fire like we always have, with drums in our chests, pride in our bones, and candles in every window they tried to shutter. We are not ash. We are the ones who carried the flame, and baby, we are still burning. Every block you remember something, and I am drawn to where the stories are thickest. I see little black girls wearing crowns of beads and braids, too young to know the way to the stairs they'll carry for the rest of their lives. I see boys with fire in their eyes already marked dangerous before they ever get a chance just to be children. I see artists with dirt under their nails and brilliance in their hands get told their stories are too niche, as if we ain't the origin of every rhythm they dance to. I see babies named for strength, but their names called too hard to pronounce. Boys who cry alone because softness is only allowed if you pale enough to survive it. I see my people still lining up for a place at a table they built, carved, set, and still got told they don't belong at. I see food turned gourmet, but the hands that made it called unclean. I see it all. And still, I see joy. Joy they couldn't scrub out with centuries of erasure. Communion in barbershops, praise breaks in kitchens, rebirth in backyard cookouts, healing in hands that never stop tending each other. You want to know what real power looks like? It's laughter that echoes louder than grief. It's dancing even when they're watching. It's surviving when you were designed to disappear. They think I'm back because I'm angry. And Lord, yes, I am angry. But I'm also proud. So proud I could weep if I hadn't already spent centuries holding in tears for every one of us who didn't make it home. I walk this city not in mourning, but in witness, in remembrance, in rage dressed up as grace. Let them call me myth, let them box me in glass, whisper about voodoo queens like I'm bedtime fiction. They can call me legend, but I'm not a legend. I'm a ledger, and I'm still tallying up what they took, still recording what we kept, still walking with those who will walk with me. Now hush, the wind's picking up, the candles are flickering. Something's waking now, and baby, I think it remembers your name. The street curves, and so does the silence. I follow where the ache is the loudest. Of course, it would be the sanctuary. But I didn't come here to pray. Not to this place. This place never had any room for me. Not for my people, not for the drums, not for the dead, not for the women who bled and begged and brought life with their bare hands. My altar was the riverbank. My congregation walked on 2 feet through kitchen doors, heads bowed not in shame, but in labor, in loss, in love. But now I pass these stone steps and I listen. I hear them preaching forgiveness for sins we never asked to carry, still naming devils that look too much like our ancestors, still calling on heaven while they build hell on earth for anyone too loud, too brown, too free. They stole our songs and called them hymns, stole our herbs and called them medicine, stole our tongues and told us to be grateful. But baby, I remember the mothers turned away in childbirth because their skin was the wrong color. The girls made to kneel for absolution while their abusers stood behind altars. The boys told to hush their tears and the women told to hush everything else. The same lies still echo here. Now they just come with softer voices and better lighting. They say all are welcome, but they mean all who fold neatly into the page margins. Still no room for the loud ones, the queer ones, the black ones who don't bow, the women who say no. They still preach about Eve like she was the beginning of sin, instead of the first woman to want just a little bit more. They still tell little girls to cover their bodies and little boys to swallow their grief. They still pass around baskets but never pass around justice. But I'll tell you a secret. The real church, it ain't inside. It's in the backyard, prayers whispered into laundry lines, and the circle of aunties humming spirituals over boiling pots. It's in the foot that stomps on a porch when grief gets too big for your chest. It's in the woman who lights her white candle and says her grandma's name under her breath while her kids sleep in the next room. It's in the hand that anoints not with oil, but with grit and spit, with honey and pepper and love that don't come with the doctrine. They didn't want me then, still don't, but now I don't need their altar. I am the altar. And every time a child of mine is turned away, I grow stronger. You cannot erase what is never yours to define. So let the choir sing, let the stained glass shine. But when the thunder rolls and the wind blows hot, it ain't the preacher's voice they'll hear in the storm. It is ours, the quiet ones, the forbidden ones, the true ones, still echoing in the spaces between every amen. I turn the corner and the walls change, but the story don't. I see a mural of myself on the side of a building 10 feet tall, bright colors and gold lettering, eyes painted like I'm still asking for permission. They got my face right, but not the fire, not the grief, and not the work. Not the nights I spent tending to the dying while they whispered my name like a prayer and a warning all at once. They paint me now, honor me in pigment and praise and hashtags. But where was all that love when I was alive? When I was walking these streets in flesh and fury? When they spit at my shadow and cross themselves just to pass by? I see young girls stop and pose in front of me. They don't always know who I am, not really. But they feel it, something in the bones. They tilt their chin just a little higher, smile like their mouths hold secrets, and for a moment, they carry it. The weight, the pride, the audacity to exist without apology. That part makes me proud. But don't think I'm flattered by the paint. A mural don't mean the work is done. You want to honor me? Feed your people. Uplift your elders. Teach your children who they come from and why that matters. Don't just paint me. Practice me. Don't just post me. Protect what I stood for. Because it don't mean a thing to make me pretty if you still treat the ones like me like we're dirty. I was never meant to be your mascot. I was your memory, your mirror. And if the only time you see me is 10 feet tall on a wall, but not in the hands of the woman sweeping your salon, not in the mouth of the girl who still gets called too much, not in the old man selling roots from the milk crate outside a gas station, then baby, you didn't learn a thing from me. You want to show me love? Don't paint me bigger. Stand smaller next to those who ain't been seen. The pavement shifts under my feet. Moss fades into marble and history bleeds into heat. I'm heading towards the river now, but the ground still tells stories. I pass buildings built to keep us quiet, schools and courthouses, same stone, same silence, different doors and the same damn script. I remember classrooms where brilliance was punished, where boys were told to cut their hair and girls to cover their light, where the only stories that mattered started with a flag and ended in forgetting. I remember courthouses that called themselves temples of justice, but turned mercy into theater and truth into performance. They handed out sentences like souvenirs, carved in skin and carried for life. And even now, I feel the weight in the air, the prayers chanted through gritted teeth, the names whispered on candles and cardboard signs. But baby, listen close. If they taught you to shrink, stand taller. If they taught you to forget, remember louder. If they tried to write you out, be the story they can't erase. Because you come from power, from bone and blood and brilliance too wide for their margins. I walk toward the river, and with every step laid down by those who were told not to take up space and did it anyway. And the air shifts around me. That means they're near again. The old ones, the watchers, and I keep walking. And now I stand at the river's edge. This is where it all ends and where it all begins. The river, don't forget. Not a name, not a cry, not a lie told in courtrooms or a prayer whispered in backyards. She's carried it all. The bones, the bruises, the blood. The river's the first grave and the last confessional. I stand at the edge and I feel them. Not ghosts, not shadows. My people. The ones they said were lost. The ones they buried wrong. The ones who disappeared in records but not in memory. They're here. They rise in mist. They roll in waves. They move in rhythm too old for any clock to keep. They've been waiting on me, and I've been waiting on you, because now it's time to stir the dirt, to break the silence, to call what's due, to feed what's been starved. They brought us here to die, and we made roots. They tried to make us forget, and we still remembered each other. They wanted us silent, but we learned to hum, to drum, to breathe the truth back into this world. And now the river will rise. Do you hear that sound? That ain't thunder, that is memory marching on. And baby, the queen's not walking alone anymore. Well, folks, the queen's walking down Bourbon, and baby, this ain't no funeral march. It's a goddamn second line. You felt it, didn't you? Down in your bones? Well, then keep on stepping, 'cause we don't know where this road's gonna lead, but the band's playing, and the veil's done gone thin, and if you heard that rhythm down deep in your chest like a second heartbeat, well, you're already marching. So we'll see you next time.